Welcome back. On today's video, we're going to talk about changing our relationship with negativity. We are all hardwired and frankly addicted to negativity. We come by this honestly. This is the result of evolutionary protection. And this evolutionary protection is hardwired into us to pay attention to the negative, to the danger in our world. But we don't need to stay there. And we can train ourselves to get out of that negativity from time to time. So way back in the day when we all lived in caves, we needed to pay attention to all the threats in our environment. And our body still reacts in the same way as then in our modern society. So in our modern society, we are relatively safe most of the time. And yet the primitive parts of our brain are still working to scan for threats and danger to keep us safe. So we react exactly the same way to watching the news or having interactions with people as we would if we were being chased by a bear or stuck in an avalanche or something like that. So this can show up in larger ways in the reaction that our nervous system has to stress. But it can also show up in small ways, and this we do by dismissing positivity. As an example, someone might share something really good with you or compliment you or share good news of something that's happening in their lives. And oftentimes we spend a short period of time to sort of celebrate and debrief about that. But then we also add really subtle cues like, yeah, but did you hear about this thing? Or, yeah, but this is really hard for me. And suddenly it gets easier to talk about all the hard things that are happening in our lives versus being able to stay on the shared things of common humanity that we feel really good about. I find it personally really strange that we can often speak longer in groups of people and more passionately about all of the bad things rather than the good things. When we have good things to share, it's often small and then we move on. I think this is a result of all of us being taught to be humble. So we're often told not to brag, or that if we've talked about ourselves for too long, that we should get off the topic of ourselves and onto other things. But this gets really hard because then sometimes the only things we have in common are the common human suffering. Even if everyone doesn't want to share their success, we default to sharing about what's wrong out there or what's wrong in us or what's wrong in the world. And that's huge for sure. Most of us are really struggling to manage what's happening in the world right now. So we often want to share the hard stuff because socially, we need friends and family to help come up with solutions for us, to listen with compassion and empathy, to just hold us in that space of suffering where people can actually just hear us. But then in those moments where we're actually having something good, it's also important not to get back onto the negativity too quickly. Can you see where we get in a really big push-pull situation here? It's beautiful to get support from others around us around our struggles. We all need that. But we also don't want to go on for too long or be too much or be that friend who's always going on and on about the crisis in their life. And alternatively, we also want to share our successes. We want to share what we're excited about, but we don't want to go on too long or take up too much space, right? But I'd like to challenge all of us to try to find really a middle balanced place with this, where we can share our struggles and our triumphs and not squash good news with the inevitable yeah buts, and also not minimize the hard things that are happening in our lives. Now more than ever, we need to pay attention to people, situations, TV, social media, and really, really notice about whether it's making us feel energized or whether it's making us feel bad. Our evolutionary wiring will tell us that we need to keep checking on the world situation because it gives us the illusion that in some way we will be able to control it or address it or do something about it if we know about it, if we're 10 steps ahead of it. However, most of us don't like this at all. It's really not in our control. We can only do our tiny little piece of the puzzle. And we have to really look at seeking that peace in our own lives, because the more peaceful we are, the more capacity we have to spread peace in the world as well. I'm not saying to not be informed. We have to be informed. We have to look at the world. We can't put our heads in the sand. But perhaps don't linger there for too long, scanning for constant danger. It's just too hard on our nervous system. And if our nervous system is calm, then we have more capacity to truly help each other in the moments when it matters. Thank you so much for spending your time with me. I truly appreciate it. If you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe. And if you have any requests for future topics you'd like me to cover, please leave them in the comments below. See you on the next video and have a great day.